Picture sitting in the courtyard of your family home, the exact same patch of dirt your ancestors have swept and walked across for generations. Now, imagine a man who has never been to your country suddenly draws an invisible line straight through the middle of it. Instantly, the geography of your daily life is fractured. Your kitchen sits in one sovereign nation, but the farm where you grow your food is suddenly part of another. In the summer of 1947, millions of people lived through this scenario, the consequence of a single, rushed geopolitical compromise. To understand how a border could tear through a family home, we have to rewind to March 1947. Lord Mountbatten had just arrived in Delhi to serve as the final Viceroy of British India. The original British timeline dictated a slow, methodical withdrawal by June 1948. But on the ground, sectarian violence between Hindu, Muslim, and Sikh communities was escalating, making the British administration nervous. Mountbatten reacted by aggressively accelerating the timeline. He moved the official departure date up by 10 full months, declaring that independence would happen on August 15, 1947. This map shows the massive scale of British India prior to that August deadline. By cutting 10 months out of the schedule, Mountbatten created a vacuum. The British now had to divide this sprawling, populated subcontinent into two separate nations, India and Pakistan, almost overnight. To execute this task, the administration hired Cyril Radcliffe. He was an English lawyer with a pristine legal reputation, but he had zero experience in the region. He had never set foot in India. They handed him one of the most complex geographical puzzles on Earth and gave him exactly 5 weeks to draw the borders for two brand new nations. Because of the frantic deadline, Radcliffe could not go out and survey the actual terrain. He spent his time isolated in heavily guarded rooms, detached from the physical reality of the land he was dividing. To make his decisions, he relied almost entirely on outdated maps and old census records that didn't reflect where local communities were actually living in 1947. Two massive provinces took the brunt. Radcliffe's pen cut straight through Punjab in the west and Bengal in the east. Prioritizing statistics over geography ensured infrastructure was severed. The border cut blindly through rail networks, water systems, and economies. Down on the ground, this top-down division triggered chaos. Because the maps were so old, the final line frequently placed a farmer's house in one country while throwing the fields they needed to survive into the other. The geometry of the border even sliced through local architecture, dividing singular family courtyards right down the middle. This frantic, hyper-literal approach to the division quickly infected the local government bureaucracy as well. Desperate to split everything evenly before the deadline, officials began physically destroying their own offices. They sawed wooden tables, chairs, and typewriters in half to ensure equal distribution. The obsession with a 50-50 split reached its peak when government workers resorted to physically tearing individual library books down the spine, so both new nations could have half the text. The administrators became so focused on enforcing the invisible boundary that they abandoned basic common sense. A geopolitical map exercise mutated into a destructive force in everyday life, completely untethered from the human beings it was supposed to govern. On August 14th and 15th, India and Pakistan officially declared independence. Massive celebrations broke out across the major cities, but the government had a secret. They had delayed the release of Radcliffe's final boundary details, keeping the exact location of the border hidden until August 17th. For 2 days, millions of people living in the borderlands of Punjab and Bengal woke up independent, but had no idea which country their homes belonged to. This delay weaponized the transition. People celebrated their independence without knowing if the ground beneath their feet was now part of a newly hostile nation. When the Radcliffe line was finally published, the confusion instantly mutated into violence. Lifelong neighbors, suddenly categorized by this new boundary, turned on each other overnight. Roughly 15 million people abandoned their ancestral roots entirely. It triggered one of the largest mass migrations in human history, as families fled across the invisible line to find safety. The roads became choked with miles-long queues. The railway system buckled, and trains rolling into the stations frequently arrived filled not with living passengers, but with casualties of the sectarian violence. By the time the massive waves of migration settled, An estimated 1 to 2 million souls had lost their lives to the ensuing madness. The 1947 partition stands as a record of the human cost when colonial bureaucracy is prioritized over local reality. It shows that lines drawn by detached men inevitably destroy the lives they fail to understand.